awkward, but this is kind of just what I got planned. Unfortunately, I typically don't really, go out of town that often. But this time tomorrow, if you're watching it, I will be on a flight going to Denver first, and then from Denver, I will be going to Des Moines, Iowa for a wedding. So as you're watching this, I'm probably 30,000 feet up in the air. But the reason I made this was the plan before I kind of just remembered that I had to go on this to this wedding, which I'm excited about. But what you will be doing today, is you will be taking a quiz, like a test, like a big sort of chunk assignment, and I just want to make sure that you are going to be ready to go on this. So this is what I was planning on doing. I was planning on going over the jigsaw with you all today. So you all should know where to find this. This is what we worked on last time. All right, so this would be on the date. If I'm trying to remember, kind of to pull it up, this would be in the Schoology folder under 9. I'm sorry, it would be under 929. Okay, so you need to make sure you go to 929. This is labeled the Big 7 in Schoology. All right, and these are the two docs that you should have been working on from last time. So you need to know this, like this right here, this doc that I'm circling, like the notes. You get this done. I'm going to go through this with you with some slides. You will be doing great on the test. So this first part, I asked you just to kind of make up your own explanation for it. I wanted to see what your own explanation for. So I'm really not going to go over any of this. We're going to go down to this bottom portion right here where we're going to talk about the Big 7. So what I want you all to do is, what I'm going to do really fast is I'm just going to copy and I'm going to paste all these in here. So we have feeding and digestion. We have respiration. We have circulation. So I kind of want you all doing the same thing. And that's the great thing about YouTube is you can just pause it. And when you get done with this, you can just go back to it. Excretions 4. Response nervous system 5. Also, too, this is the thing is, like, I want you all to be, like, ready to go clearly for this. So you can just pause any of the slides. I'm not going to post these on here because, not that I want you to hear my own voice, but I want you to, like, know kind of, like, exactly what's going on. So I'm not going to post any of these slides, all right? But you can pause it if you really, really want to. So the reason that we talk about the Big 7 is all animals have specialized systems to help them adapt to an environment to help maintain homeostasis. All right, and what homeostasis is, it's a tendency towards a relation of a stable equilibrium. So what that means is, like, your body likes to stay, about 97 degrees. Your body likes to have, water in it. Your body likes to have food in it. All these systems help adapt for, like, this homeostasis. So as we're going through these slides, I'm going to go back and forth to the notes, though. All right, so the first thing that is definitely the part of the Big 7 with animals is that animals must eat to obtain energy. All right, so carnivores, herbivores, parasites, all of these, they need to eat. They are all animals. Leeches are animals. Deers are animals. Anything that they literally need to eat. Leeches need to eat blood. Deers need to eat grass. You and I, humans need to eat. We need to eat something. You might be a vegetarian. Maybe you just eat, plant products, and that's great. I am a meat eater, though, so you need to eat. All right. There are two types of digestive systems, and this is the gross part. There is a one-way, and what that means is, there's one way and a single opening. So you and I just think we have a one-way sort of track. We eat food in our mouths, and we poop it out the other end, okay? Some animals don't have another end. They eat and poop all out of the same, the same orifice. So they eat and poop really out of their mouth, which is kind of gross to kind of think about. But, And even, for example, you don't want to know any examples. How about that? But this is the first part of the Big Seven. So what I would do if I were you, I would just take a quick pause if you need to get this squared away. But I would pause real fast and maybe have this open on both sides of your screen. But in the explanation of feeding and digestion would be supplies needed to energize. You want to know what? That looks pretty gosh darn good to me. So supplies needed needed energy for the body functions and nutrition. Yep. You want to know what? We are going to I think that looks like a good one, but let me do a copy. Let me make sure. Move nutrients and oxygen. No, that's not food. Create next generation. No, none of this quite looks right to me. So you want to know what? I think I'm going to put that right in there. You need to know that for the test. Trust me, or the quiz, okay? So we're going to go down here, and now we're going to explain how. So, feeding and digestion, no, it's not, we're not talking about sexual, reproduction or anything like that. We're not talking about skeletons. Hey, these look like a couple examples. Incomplete gut. So what that is food is consumed and waste is released in the same opening. It is very ineffective, found in sponges and jellyfish, all right? Or one way, have a separate mouth and anus. That is the other end, all right? And we have food it can be constantly digested. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. I'm just going to paste it over here in examples. Boom. Check that out. We're done with the first part. All right. And we're just going to kind of keep on trucking. So this is the part. If you hear me say this, you should probably write this down, is because on my fancy double screen I have over here on my computer, I'm looking at the test, okay? So, if I am looking through here, you can kind of see that, each animal, these are all animals, they have a different, feeding. They have a different sort of digestion. We have here, that's a mole. It has, it's pretty short. It has a short intestines. We have rabbits have a simple, they have just one little stomach. Now we look over here at this deer. This is a big stomach. It is 4-chamber stomach. It has a large and small intestines. And then when we kind of compare it, when we compare it to a fox here, it has a short intestines. All right. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. And then here is a track over here of our buddy the flatworm. He just has one opening. He eats and poops. We'll just call it through his mouth, and that's his mouth right there. So everything goes in one end, and everything goes out the other. That's kind of gross. But now I want you all to kind of think, just for a moment, and I'm going to tell you to pause, but you probably won't. Why do you think the deer's digestive tract is longer? Okay, you need to think, what in the world deers eat. Deers don't eat meat. Typically, they eat grass. They're omnivores, so they just eat grass. Grass is ridiculously hard to break down. I don't think there's even an animal that can break it down completely. The reason that the deer's digestive tract is longer than the fox's is its diet. Okay. Typically, larger animals have. Typically, larger animals that eat grass have a multiple-chambered stomach because grass is super hard to digest. You may or may not have noticed this, and you want to know what? This might be too much information. But sometimes, if you eat like corn, maybe when you go to the bathroom, if sometimes that corn really doesn't get digested. Let's just kind of throw it out there. That might seem gross. Hey, Mr. Billick, that's gross. But you want to know what? That's the truth. Same thing with lettuce and everything. Our body doesn't break it down that well because we don't have a 4-chambered stomach. We don't have a long intestines compared to the fox. The fox typically eats meat. Maybe eats grass sometimes, but the main what it consumes mostly for energy is for it eats meat for energy. So you need to know that. You need to know that deers typically have a longer bigger digestive tract is because plant material takes longer to digest. Okay, so here's a couple examples of a rhino and a weird bat. All right, we don't need to know that. That is gross. All right, so now we are going to talk about respiration. All animals need to take an O2, which is just oxygen, and release CO2. All right. There's a couple ways to do it. That is through diffusion, which is through the skin. Another option is lungs and gills and lungs. So let's go to respiration. Look at that. We are going in order. So respiration. Let's see what respiration is. Boom. This would be the explanation of respiration. Copy paste. There we go. Use this on the test. So now we need to go to examples of respiration. Let's kind of just take a look in here. Let's see if we can find anything. Heart is no. You want to know A? Oh, this kind of looks like it. Remember we just were talking about water, gills and water. Gills and water. Animals who lived on land have backbone. Animals who have lived on land and have backbones use lungs. Smaller, simpler animals use diffusion so you can breathe through your skin. All right, you have to be wet and slimy. Gross. So that would be a good explanation. All right, so that would be. I'm sorry, that would be a good example. See how I just copied and pasted that over here? So we are going to head back. And I'm kind of just checking this out as well. All right. You just need to know this. This would be very good to know come quiz time. So, moving on down, there's a couple different types of gas exchange. So if you remember, we did this when we did the salamander dichotomous key. We have, there's examples where it's external gills, okay? So we have gills. Some of the salamanders had those gills on the outside, like those little sort of flower-looking deals. We also have internal gills, lungs, and then a trachea as well. So, honestly, it doesn't matter what in the world this animal does. Every animal takes in O2 and expels oxygen. If it's in water, it's diffused sort of, oxygen. But there is water in water. I'm sorry. There is oxygen in water, so fish get oxygen through the water. Salamanders get that. Lobsters get it. You go up on the land, it's the same thing. All animals take in oxygen and expel CO2. Okay? So, there we go with that one. So we are done with respiration. So now we're going to move towards circulation. So let's work on here. Boom. So this is something that is, you want to know what, man? It is weird, man. I'm sorry, man and ladies. This circulation, some circulation is weird. We have three different types. I'm sorry. So you got to have some way to move things around, all right? So you can have diffusion. So what that is for the sort of the smaller guys, okay? I'll kind of explain what diffusion is. But then we have open and closed system of circulation, okay? An example of open circulation is a grasshopper, okay? What a grasshopper does is it takes in its energy when the heart pumps. That blood and it's also guts as well, which is kind of gross, but I'll explain that in a little bit. It goes out to these, muscles, to these areas in the bodies, and what it does is it kind of just gets soaked up in this area. There aren't veins and arteries that swing it back around to the heart. It kind of just gets soaked up in the area, and then eventually everything that's kind of gets soaked up, comes back in there. It's not necessarily closed. But for example, for you and for me, for you, for even like this earthworm as well, is there are closed system circulatory. So what that means is that everything just keeps on going around. You pump when your heart is pumping, that same blood that starts off in your feet, swings on back around all the way through your body, each pump of the heart, and that goes back to your heart. You take a deep breath in, that oxygen gets infused into your blood, and boom, it goes back and back and back and back around. Okay, it's not like a grasshopper where it's kind of just sits and soaks and then eventually gets back into the heart. All right, so we are going to kind of go back to our our little worksheet that we were doing, and now we're on circulation. So let me check out circulation. So moves nutrients and oxygen to tissues and removes waste from the I'm looking at this one right here. All right, maybe this one. Creates next generation? No. Allows animal to detect what's going on? No. Regulates the amount of water? I don't know. Brings oxygen to the body and removes... No, we already used that one. Gives animal... No, you want to know what? I would say it moves nutrients and oxygen to tissues and removes waste. That seems like the circular system to me. All right. So now we need to use an example. And hey, check this out. I already talked about this, so we need to just copy this right here. So we have the closed system and the open system as well. All right, so let's paste that in here. Let me kind of go through. I don't think we really talked about anything. All right, sounds good. All right, so I'm going to talk now just a little bit about the open system. All right, so the open system is made of arteries, veins, capillaries that branch out from the heart. Okay, it is the blood is also combined with like which is in almost intestinal fluid. So if you've ever squashed a bug before, it's not like blood that comes out. It's also like that gooey sort of nasty stuff. Open system animals, that is what that's why it's like the guts, it's the goo. Like it's not just blood because it's a combination of blood and this interstitial fluid as well. So what happens when the heart pumps, okay? The heart pumps, it swings this fluid around, and it goes into these muscles, like I said, right? And it kind of just sits there, all right? It kind of sits there and gets soaked up by everything, and eventually it'll get saturated, and then it'll kind of just like make its way back to the heart, all right? The blood comes in contact with body and other cells, tissues. After bathing the cells and tissues, the blood goes through the heart for the next circulation. So like it kind of just, like I said, it just kind of sits there and kind of soaks it up. If you want to take this quick pause this and jot this down. This is this is something you do need to know. This is another example real fast of an open system. Grasshoppers have it. You can kind of see where like the tubular heart is. So we have the pores, the heart pumps out, it kind of goes through this entire body, it kind of soaks it up and then boom, goes back through. All right. So it eventually goes back through, but it is not nearly as fast as like what we have. I would know this. I would jot this down. The advantages of an open system, it is less costly energy than a closed circulatory system. So you don't need that much energy to run this type of system, okay? Grasshoppers don't really, by energy, don't need to eat that a lot to kind of keep this energy up. Us humans, we don't have that. We have a closed system. We need to eat or like our body can't sustain that, okay? The closed circulatory system is blood is contained in veins, but that is not mixed with the interstitial fluid. Okay, it is most common in invertebrates as well. There's an advantage to this. You need to know the advantage. Write this down, pause it, do whatever you want. It transports of nutrients and oxygens to tissues quick and effectively. It has high metabolic demands. What that means is in order for this system, your heart is always pumping. It's kind of crazy to think that your heart will be pumping until, let's say the average is 70 years old. Your heart is pumping for 70 years. It takes a lot of energy to keep that going. That's why you need to eat. You need to eat constantly. Maybe not constantly, but you need to eat in order to keep yourself going. This is a breakdown of a heart. You don't need to know this, all right? So now we're going to work, next, right, we're going to go to excretion. So boom. Now we just keep on trucking. So excretion, the slide says cells produce toxic chemicals, including ammonia. Toxic chemicals must be eliminated or broken down. Flame cells, kidneys, Oh gosh, I looked that up how to say it. You want to know what? I'm just going to delete it because I don't want to say it. We're just going to say kidneys. So when you think of excretion, don't think of going number 2. Thinking of going number 1. Okay. So when we are going number 1, not number 2, what would we be doing? Are we regulating the amount of water in our body and filters waste? Yep, we sure as heck are. So here we go. Boom. That's the explanation. All right, let's try to think of an example. Let's kind of go through here. Hey, kidneys. You need kidneys to work through excretion. So copy and paste that in. All right. Oh, my bad. So once again, when I want you to think of excretion, you need to think of going number 1, not number 2. All right. Excretion is important because cells create toxic or poisonous waste and must be removed. Okay, because they can disrupt homeostasis. Water balance is important to animals' tissues and must be maintained. If you for some reason, if you never went pee, that's terrible for you. Your body would probably make you pee your pants before if you just tried to hold it, okay? But if your body, that's why your body needs to get rid of get rid of all this waste. That's why you should always stay hydrated. You give your body plenty of fluids. It can kind of go through these fluids. If you don't hydrate as much, those nasty toxins do have a tendency to stay in there. All right, so next is we're going to go response/nervous system. All right. The response/nervous system. Let's take a look at this. Allows animals to detect. All right, hang on. Wait. Did we already do this? Moves injuries? Yes. Nah. Creates next generation of organisms? No, that's not a response. Gives animals ability to find and escape predators? Maybe. No. Regulates what? No. You want to know what? I think the nervous system. This kind of looks like it. The nervous system allows the animals to detect what's going on around them and respond to their environment. So there we go. And let's look for a quick little example in here. Aha. So right here, we're going to move back. So most animals have nerves that send out and receive messages. Can be primitive or advanced. So any animals would have brains or advanced. You're going to learn there are some very, very simple animals. So one example that you need to know what cephalization is. It is the concentration of sense organs and nervous controls at one end, the head. Okay, you have a lot of nerve endings and everything that are in your head. Your brain is a good component of that. Your eyes have a lot of nerve ending. Your nose has, that's another. You get response from that. Your mouth, your ears. Everything's kind of concentrated up at your head. So cephalization comes with more complex nervous systems. So if we are looking for an example of a nervous system, this would be the cephalization. Where are we? The concentration of organisms. All right, boom. And there we go. All right, so now we're going to keep on trucking to movement. That should be the next one. Movement. Most animals use movement of their body parts to survive. Muscles evolve to meet this need. Muscles contract. Contraction generates force that causes movement. It helps to have a skeleton for muscles that attach to the system. There are 3 different types. Okay, there is a hydrostatic skeleton. Okay, this isn't. We're going to kind of talk more and more about it, and you need to know. I would pause this and say, hey, kind of a couple advantages of this. So what a hydroskeleton is, it is a fluid-filled compartment with the body, okay, called the coelom. The organs in the coelom are supported by an aqueous fluid, which also resists external compression. So think of a worm, okay? A worm has a hydrostatic skeleton. It has this fluid that kind of acts like it, okay? The advantage is it is pretty flexible, okay? But it is ridiculously slow to move. All right, and then we also have an exoskeleton. when you think of, sorry, I just burped. That was probably gross, but guess what? I'm not going to redo the recording. So, the exoskeleton. The exoskeleton are rigid external coverings of the body that some invertebrate animals have, especially arthropods that provide both support and protection. Advantage: allow for complex movement due to joint appendages. So if you think about how a crab moves, it doesn't move like you and me. It doesn't put one arm in kind of the other. Like, it has a whole bunch of like different appendages, or even something to like like an ant. That is an exoskeleton, like the way they kind of pick up their feet and like move them all around. That's an advantage where once again, it allows for complex movement due to joint appendages. That is a great example of an exoskeleton. One question that is on the test, okay, and you need to know this. We are in endo. We have an endoskeleton. Your puppy has an endoskeleton. Your cat has one. Birds, most like typical quote-unquote animals that you think of have endoskeletons, and that is an internal skeleton such as a bony or cartilagic skeleton of vertebrates. The advantage: it is greatly flexible and fast movements, okay? You can kind of see this cheetah, how his backbone is almost like a straight line, and then boom, look how much it can flex to that. So, the endoskeletons, those have a great ability. Those are probably one of that is definitely an advantage of having, once again, an endoskeleton. I would know that, the advantage of an endoskeleton, okay? So I guess what? Are we done with, did we already code up movement? Oh, wait, we're at movement. We didn't quite get there. So movement would be, this is the one right here. It gives animals the ability to find food, escape from predators, find mates, and locate shelter. So, boom. That's an example of that. And I talked about the two different types of movement, didn't I? Oh yeah, boom, right here. Once again, you want to know this. You want to have this all squared away come quiz time, which you will be taken to shortly. And then the last part is reproduction, all right? We have sexual, asexual, or hermaphroditic. So sexual is you need a male and female. Asexual can reproduce on its own, like a sponge or those flatworms. Or hermaphroditic, where males and females, male and female parts in the same animal. So you necessarily it could be a male 1 month, and then then maybe they can use this. It can use the same parts, and it's like, hey, and then it can be a female the next. Any two can mate, and everyone can be fertilized. Okay, so that is the last part. So we're going to go to reproduction. Creates next generation of organisms. Boom. Right here. All right. There you go. There's the sheet. I don't think you need to turn this in. All right. I don't think I made this as an assignment, but I would definitely have this. All right. Come the test time. Not so much this part. This right here. This is going to really help you out come test time, which you will be taking very shortly.